Hello and welcome. Mein Name ist Viggy. Und ich mache sad live videos. Mostly auf Yiddish. Fangen wir an der heutige Video. Ich will sagen, dass es sei a sad day. A very sad day. It's funny, ich had a bad day. Früher. And, yeah. Not exactly sure if I was a feel a hit me so, to be honest. Sadly. Ich 31 years old. Lotte mit 2 Kindern mit der Wab. Und ich weiß davon nicht, wo sie hit mir da so. Like, wo ich habe gesehen die Videos. Ich weiß nicht, was du auf YouTube. But sie sind 31 years old und sind, you know, auf a college campus. Sie reden. Die werden geschossen. So, supposedly haben sie einen in custody. Nicht affiliated mit is affiliated something. Herr Shiochit, Yankee T. Hello and welcome. Ich sehe eine Sache auf Twitter. Ich sehe eine Sache, wie der Oilem sagt. Civil war, this means war. There was actually a video von einer, was supposedly gewesen auf der roof. Ich habe gesagt für einer. They found already the real suspect? Is that a question or are you telling us? In MSNBC einer hat sich dort ausgerät als sie kennen sich gerne celebratory shot. What kind of stupid how you doing is that? I hope so. Du kannst hören, the CNBC guy.
This happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
Why would somebody fire off celebration? Stupid. Hoeveel mensen het inspired? Ich habe gesagt für einen, at the left, sind sehr quick. The night is high, nice. In the left is already happy about it. I mean, mention in the left. ¿Qué cuando? Can be happy as Zenon. Charlie Kirk was just with a gun in Utah. This is crazy. So, ich habe gesagt, für einen der left, sie verlieren sich auf jede Sache wie Kinder. Und sagt, oh, the right will never this and that. So, but the problem is that the right haben the guns. And there's no turning back once they become all cuckoo. Brooklyn. It's just cuckoo. It's just cuckoo. People will remember this. Sie gewähnt 3 Zeiger or something. See, I think it was 3:30. The Democrats, the Republicans haben gewollt machen a prayer in the House, in the Capitol. In the left, habe geschrien no. Just imagine. Seine 2 Kinder plus ein Wab. He's newly married. Du hast ein Kind. Na, das kann ein 2 Sachen. Oder kann rauskommen etwas super Gidde finden. In jeder einer that uniten in a sense. I mean, 3 Wegen. Or it will just get buried like everything else. Or, yeah, the right werden den ganzen zerhackt. Two Sparkles, Shimmy. Hello and welcome. It's a turning point. That's what they keep saying. The question is, what's mein der turning point? What's mein der turning point?
Next to UVU campus.
Kijk und du liegt er. Ich habe gesehen das Video, aber ich mich ausgedreht durch, mich gesessen du leben meinem. Und ich habe mich gedreht aus und ich so gleich. It doesn't look too good. It doesn't look too good. Ellie. Hello and welcome. Question is, what's Guide geschehen, du? Boom. Larry Ellison made 111 billion today. Shimmy, it's nicht about, in a sense, Charlie Kirk. It's about wie the country is umgekommen. Wie der Weiße ist. He'll be happy as I zen on the left. So I pick the nose ring. It's always that. It's always the ring. The overweight women. Let's be real. Sie sagen, als sie kennen uns von Ricochet, habe ich gesehen, kein Exit Wound. Ich will nicht wasen, du, the Video. Bit too graphic, I would say. Oracle was up to 85% for the day. Weil keiner redet schon nicht technically von Katar. Wo sie geschehen in Katar. Aber mit der rausgenommen Hamas Leadership. Das ist sicher. Dann ist du kein Wörter. There's no words. Alright. So, in a human bone. Yeah. The mood is in ganzen up. Let's be real. The question is auch, was geschehen von du? What happens? What's really going to happen? When the left explode, ja, so wie zum gesehen BLM, ich bin violence in verbrennt cities. Was schon gesehen, wo sie kennen. In the left haben nicht keine guns. What happens to the right? If they become like the left? And the Ukrainian woman stabbed on the subway. Auch het. And the news redt nicht davon. The news doesn't jump to conclusions. If that would have been a white guy, and she would have been a black woman, or whatever. Whew. CNN. White supremacist. Pow, wat man geschossen, es wird sich ugeteen. Crazy. So, Nepal is gefallen a few days ago. 2 Tage fast ist weggefallen. Ist gewesen in China, the leader, the president. Ich habe gesehen Videos, man nimmt ihm auf VIP, mit Days, mit Jens. In 2 Tage später bete sich für sein Leben, because man hat uprised. Hat mich han gefragt, so viel schon, man darf schon oben essen, man darf Survival Food und stuff. Sag ich, die feels, dass die das nicht, ist die beste Zeit zu kaufen. Wenn kauft man Survival Food? Wenn kauft man die alle Sachen? Wenn man feelt, man darf es nicht. Because when you feel you need it, it's over. It's late. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Ay. The question is, wie viel noch Charlie Kirks gaan aufwachsen jetzt? Meaning, are going to come out. Hopefully a lot. Hopefully his message is going to be pushed. Hopefully he's on the funeral. It's going to be stretching from New York to California to Los Angeles. Hopefully. So, sie gehen ein YouTuber, wo sie gewähnen in Nepal. Ich habe gesehen, ich habe nicht gewatscht an den previous videos, aber ich habe gesehen seine Views. Und hat 15,000 views, I would say like 10,000 views average auf seine Videos. It seems like per Zufall ist umgekommen in Nepal und geht durch die ganze Sache. Hat 3.6 million, ist da mehr? Lass mich refreshen the page, hold on. Yeah, 3.6 million views. So this is Nepal on fire. Und ich halte das sehr wichtig zu sehen. Weil ein country, wo sie gewähnt, so-called stable, gegangen unstable, literally in 2 Tagen.
Building is burned through! Fuck politician! Fuck everybody!
Doomsday shit.
Wieso ist der Kalik?
Holy fuck. Why did everybody just run?
People are like doing something.
Hitting each other.
It's not
violence.
exactly hitting. But they might hit. So we are running. So we are still on protest. Better you leave from this way. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Your safety is our concern.
Excuse me.
Your safety is our concern.
This is insane. I should not be here.
All right, so I've just parked my bike there, and we're going back to where everybody ran away. It's the type of stuff that really does make your hair stand on end. I think it's supposed to get bigger today as well. I'm not sure. We'll go ask some questions of some people.
The Menschen in Nepal sind schon gewähnt Miet von der Corruption and stuff.
Hey brother, how are you? I can't shake your hand, but nice to meet you. What's your name? Can't hear, okay.
Oh, Gen Z, also heißt der...
Run up this way for some reason. Let's go see what's going on.
Why are we running this way?
Actually, one man threw a stone in the middle of the nowhere, so that's why.
Oh shit.
Oh. Oh. Ow.
I can't
A politician?
quite believe what I'm witnessing right now. They're all hitting this guy, I think, because he threw a stone. It hit someone else. Tensions are high.
Maar toch het ausgeloschen de internet hatten.
That was a gunshot that just went off. That's another gunshot. Look at them pushing that over there. More gunshots in the air. Oh shit, he's just put off some tear gas over this way. Bollocks. Oh fuck, sorry dude. There's some more cans being thrown this way. Fucking hell. Wow, that fucking really gets in your eyes. Oh shit, man. Fucking hell.
Die hebben hem nog gezegd, keine Ahnung, was geht geschehen.
Yeah! Fuck me, dude. I've never witnessed anything like it there. Chucking the tear gas on the side. My eyes are watering.
My eyes
You
are
can
watering.
feel it going up your nose. Jesus. It's over there. The smoke's going off. We're throwing it back here. This way, let's go. I'm kind of worried for my bike now.
This is not for social media. This is for corruption.
Yes,
Not
I know.
for social media.
I've heard.
Yeah.
For the kids that were flaunting their wealth or something.
Because people are saying this is for social media. No, this is for like corruption.
Yeah.
Because our like child, like our brother and sister, like 17, 18, they just died.
Yeah, they've just been shot.
They're
yes.
murdered.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go a little bit further to see where they fired that tear gas off. You can still smell it in the air. Real chemical shit, that. And here's the guy getting stuff out
Enjoy,
of his eyes.
Sammy. Thank you for being there.
They're firing more tear gas down there, as you can see. Fucking hell. Did you get in the fire? Bloody hell, man. They've retreated all the way back there. They've created a gap between the protesters over here and the police. Have moved all the way back. Absolutely insane.
Make a video up there. These are all corrupted police officers.
You think they're corrupt?
This whole system is corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we want to fuck this house.
That's why you're all protesting here.
Yeah.
Well, you've pushed them back here. You were over here, right?
Yeah.
And you pushed forward.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I've just experienced tear gas. Welcome to Nepal. This is going to get dangerous real soon. It's time for me to get a little bit backwards. Tear gas, tear gas, tear gas, tear gas. Let's start running. There you can see, look. Ambulance over there. Tear gas is being thrown back by some guy. He's just fucked his hand up doing that. There's an ambulance there. I think someone might have been hit. What really gets in your eyes, dude?
Instead of putting some like injured people, they are putting just government people or police so that they can attack us or they can save them. So this is the major like problem which we have. Yesterday they did same thing. They just like took political member to save from us, not the victory, not the like injured people. So much like corrupted this.
Well, this is quite literally insane. They have pushed the police all the way back over this way, all the way down. We've just come from there where that Skyland lounge is, and now everyone's up here. The journalists have come into the crowds, it seems, no longer being protected by the riot police. Fires over there, you can see those big plumes of smoke through that tree line. Has come up here, they're trying to get into this gate. God, look at this. Look at this guy, I can't believe what I'm witnessing right now. There's tear gas right there, again. That plume of smoke in the background, I didn't catch it on camera, but that's a petrol station apparently blown up, a gas tank.
Our government is very corrupt because they kill 20 people yesterday. They are very bad. The KP Salma Oli.
Brother, are you okay?
I'm okay because tear gas affect me my eyes and.
I know. I can see it, my friend.
Yes.
I can feel it, my friend, too. They're firing off tear gas over there as well again. Look at the sheer amount of people.
There's ook meer 14 million zijn Rosie met protesten.
Over here, to the left of me, they're pulling down all these railings. Trying to get into, I don't know, I believe it must be some government office. All the barbed wire being pulled down. The riot police in there.
Whoop.
Just fell down. Tear gas. The guy covering his eyes, getting away from it all. That really gets in the back of your throat, in your eyes. It burns the...
Der Riesen ich watch das ist, weil Nepal gewinnt ganz still. A paar Tage vor dem. Ist es Schibbe gedreht. In der Oilem schreit wegen Charlie Kirk. It's a turning point. So man darf sehen. Was meint a turning point in some stages?
Forehead. And it smells like wasabi or mustard.
Thank you so much.
And this is what I mean about the humanity. The humanity still remains even though there's chaos. That way. There's blown up stuff. They're ripping off the railings. But still, you have people sharing water, laughing, helping each other out.
What is that mean?
Wild, wild, wild.
Excuse me, can I have a small bite of yours?
I'm from England.
So how long it's been you've been here in Nepal?
1 day.
1 day?
Yes.
It's your first time here?
No, it's my second time. I got stuck because I need to ship my bike from Kathmandu to Dubai. And yesterday I arrived in riots.
This question might be a little bit tricky, but how's Nepal treating you right now? How are you feeling here?
The people are wonderful.
Weet man macht slow progress. Jeder hat aber shine phones.
I'm not sure what's quite going on. They've broken into this building right here. Oh my God, the scenes of this riot have just got real.
This is the Parliament building.
What's behind me is hundreds of people breaking through the main gate. There are riot police the other side. And they have pushed all the way from back there. I cannot believe it. Oh, brother. Hello.
Das Sache hier in zurückläufen.
Honestly, I have no words. I've been told right now that they were firing shots in the air. So it's I'm thankful that it's no one. But you can see behind me all the plumes of smoke. I've just been standing over here to try and get away from it. And people have just been coming up to me asking me, where are you from? Where are you from? Which football team do you support? While this chaos is going on, I can't quite describe what's going on, man. It's this weird mix of powerful emotions that are running through it.
Imagine zo'n stok in een tweede country wenn ze gaat voor de zeggen chaos.
Everybody. They have done it, yes. You've broken into Parliament.
Yeah.
Yes.
One night in jail.
1 night in jail, they kept you.
Right now we are coming from jail. From custody. And I'm happy by seeing this.
You just got out?
Yeah.
You got freed?
Yeah.
Legally or illegally?
Legally.
Legally.
Thank you,
Congratulations to freedom.
Yes, freedom.
What's happening?
Country. From UK.
UK?
Yeah.
Oh.
What just happened in there? Explosions?
That's burning.
Burning?
Yeah.
Gas?
Parliament burning. Yeah.
Parliament burning?
Yeah.
Parliament is burning?
Yeah.
Parliament is burning.
De mensen versuchen als January 6 gewesen a insurrection. Was a picture from them building?
Parliament burning from we people.
In Parliament.
Yeah. Okay, man.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Safe.
Thanks.
Please be safe.
Okay.
So, you heard it. Parliament is burning. Parliament is burned.
यो राष्ट्रको झण्डा हो यो राष्ट्रको झण्डा म एउटा जर्नलिस्ट भएको नाताले पनि देशको नागरिक हो
I cannot believe my eyes right now. The whole of Parliament is on fire. People are dancing. None of it is left. Look at it. The whole building is burned through. People holding Nepali flags on top of the fire engines.
En die gaan met dat screen.
What the fuck am I witnessing right now?
Fuck politician, fuck everybody.
De cameraman neemt er lift in de reden.
police have left. The building behind me is on fire. In front of me, sorry. People are celebrating, smashing everything. You can see Parliament has been destroyed.
What is the channel name?
We hate the cold. We hate the cold.
We hate the
cold.
Wat Kiwi interessant is, zij schlugen zich eens tussen zich. Jeder is kind of peaceful. This is in Nepal. The government is gefallen worden. This is the parliament building. En deze hebben de man is een YouTuber. En hij gebleven stuck in Nepal. So he's blowing up now. But it's very interesting. De reason ich watch das jetzt ist, weil es kommt daran geht mit der Charlie Kirk situation. Aber wir wissen, was heißt unrest.
Crazy, man.
Oh, you know that you in Nepal, that so many leaders, they are so corrupted, and that young is coming and they will do that.
I heard, brother. I heard.
En by the way, 2 Tage vorher mit der President gewesen in China, mit dem aufgenommen an VIP service. And boom, 2 days later, those.
You know, we don't want to do this by our own choice. We are doing this because they deserve
it. We can do it. We can Nepal. Your can do it. And this one Nepal is here. People can do it. And we will change Nepal. This is
This is crazy. They're waving the army goodbye. The army are gone. He's got riot police gear. Fucking hell, man. This is insane, right? Insane.
Police. This is a police vehicle. Police vehicle.
Und by the way, sind sie gegangen, sie Politicians in daheim, hat sie aufgepickt, hat reingeworfen der Minister of Finance in der Wasser, in der River.
Right. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. You can see just what is happening to the right of me, the smoke from all those vehicles. The black plumes. And all of the people celebrating.
We come out Nepal. We are the fucking country. We are the fucking country.
Die Amerikaner sollen haben so viel Pride in der Flag, wie die Nepalians haben für seine Flag. We would have been in a better place. Darfst du bringen America Pride, you know?
Well, it's time to leave. I'm shocked at the scenes I've witnessed here today. I have truly witnessed history on a stupid trip from Thailand to England on a fucking moped. And with that, I'm going to go back to my motorcycle. This is and I'm going to get the hell out of here. Power of you, You don't know how happy I am to see my baby here. Safe and sound. Nothing's stolen. All good.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is for change.
Yeah.
Political change.
I'm good, man.
Protest against corruption.
Yeah.
Some water.
No, I'm good, man. I'm going to ride back.
Some water.
No, I'm okay. I've just had some. Thank you, man. Honestly.
So how many days it takes to come from Thailand to here?
6 months.
6 months?
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where you are planning to go now?
Brother, thank you. Now I'm going back to my hotel.
Hotel?
Yeah, I need to...
How long you will stay here in Kathmandu?
Until this is curfew over.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's over.
Okay, we are distributing water.
Yeah, thank you, man. I've got one.
So I'm from Kathmandu Hiking Club.
Kathmandu Hiking Club.
Hiking Group.
Okay.
We have 32,000 people in our group.
Oh, lovely, man.
Yeah, everywhere, every month, every week we are going hike around Kathmandu.
Amazing.
And we are doing cleaning campaign.
Yeah.
So nice to talk.
Nice to talk to you too, dude.
Can we talk in social media?
Of course, yeah. I don't have internet. Better you do. I'll follow you back. Stay safe.
I'll keep in contact.
Izzy, yes.
Okay, goodbye. Well, what can I say? Only in Nepal can you go to a protest where they burn the entire parliament and you come back and here is your bike. Nothing stolen, nothing taken, and a water bottle given to you. Well, it's back to the hotel. I need to...
Yeah. It is sad.
Edit this and...
R.I.P. Charlie. Yep.
And this is back at the hostel. Look at this. The pure calm of it all compared to what we've just witnessed. Now time to edit.
It is sad wegen Charlie, I must say. It is a sad day. Question is, wus von dem geht herauskommen? What's gonna happen from this? Ich hoffe, man geht treffen dem Schurer. Ich habe gehört a neue Song. A lot going on today, yes. A lot going on. Okay, so I just love the brighter side. Chaim Shlomo Mays, der ausgemaning Uno Bechor. Ich habe es ausgehört. It's actually lieb gehabt. Did you watch Jesus Circus podcast? Nein, ich habe es nicht gewatcht. Ich habe es ungeheuer ein paar Minuten zu legen auf meinem Raster, but ich habe es noch nicht gewatcht. Hast du es gewatcht? Penny G. Hello and welcome. Yeah, we're living in some crazy time. And the news media macht the sound wie, oh, it's just a regular shooting, like something else. Like nothing really crazy happened. Adam K. Hello and welcome. So, ich ausgehe den 2-3 Mal hand. Ich habe es actually enjoyed. The music in sein low voice. Lass mal das so sagen. Oh, lass mal sehen, wie viele Views. 1300 views one day. Es geht mehr. Ich denke nicht. Es klingt aus wie gesingen ergens, und man hat darauf gelegt Musik später.
Bochaim Taharim, Rachmaitzit, Koschutu mit Gamlein. Hasinku doi beräuft die Fchuna, Ladu Seichu. Juchit Gaia, Leam, Chupanai, Zochreike, die Schuh, Seichu. Shabasani, Kabel, Schmatzig, Sein, Jedait, Ali, Mois. Burich, Scheimke, Void, Malchisoi, Leoi, Lomboi. Hasinku doi beräuft die Fchuna, Ladu Seichu. Juchit Gaia, Leam, Chupanai, Zochreike, die Schuh, Seichu. Shabasani, Kabel, Schmatzig, Sein, Jedait, Ali, Mois. Burich, Scheimke, Void, Malchisoi, Leoi,
Das ist ein typical Ding, wenn man fuhrt heim von der Kasse und ist mit, but mit einer guten Mut, das. Auf der FDR, das.
Koya gedila sami khuta titseriru kam bei Vienna sam khusagwani tarani noiru nu giboy do shay khit khugu va shamraim bo khaim tarem rakhmaitzit khoshutu mit gomlaim nu be koya gedila sami khuta titseriru kam bei Vienna sam khusagwani tarani noiru Nu giboi do shaykh it khvu va shomlaim bo khantarim rakhmait tkot tu mit gamlaim khasin khudoi benoy tkhun ala du sekhu yu khit gayel yam khubnay ze khay kdi shu sekhu sham zayn ikab lishmat zayn yedai tali mois ur ich shaim ke boy mal khisoy le yoy lambo boy mal khisoy shaim ke boy mal khisoy ur ich shaim ke boy mal khisoy le yoy lambo ur ich shaim ke boy mal khisoy le yoy lambo ke boy mal khisoy shaim ke boy mal khisoy ur ich shaim ke boy mal khisoy le yoy lambo ur ich shaim ke boy mal khisoy le yoy lambo
Yossi. Hello and welcome, Yossi. Hi, Regen. Es geht da Jump rüber zu Nigen. Wie ist der Nigen gegangen? Oh, man. So, es ist ein interessanter Nigen. Es ist just as a bypass für einen Nigen. Es ist just food. It's just noch ein Nigen. I like it. Kann ich lieber... Ich darf watchen mit der Israeli Music, but es kommt darauf, du. Nesanel Yisroel. Abatov. Okay. 8 Schuhe zurück, 980 views. Let's get into it.
יש לנו אבא טוב, הוא פותר תמיד את מה שכואב, מחבק אותנו וקרוב, גם כשרחוק ודאי אותי הוא אוהב. לפעמים אנחנו לא יודעים שהאמת לאט לאט מתקרבת, כי הטוב הוא מתחבא לו בפנים, וכשרע בחוץ אותי הוא שומר.
Exactly, Yossi. What a sad day.
בראת השמש טובה שתאיר לצידי, בלב שלי שמחת ילדים, השמיים פתוחים כי אתה כאן איתי עכשיו, כמה טוב שבאת אבא.
Kenna film is focusing, to be honest. There's nothing really to focus. Was hier jetzt geschehen? Hold on. Roderick, the wrong button. Penny. Thank you so much. Hi, Rega. Zum Gauten do. Mastermind. Hello and welcome. Para 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 para. It's just crazy. Oh, man. Ich habe gesehen das Video, wie wird geschossen, aber ich mich ausgedreht zu einem. Ich habe gesagt, dass it looks like it's gone. It looks like he will not recover from this. Und noch hat man gesagt, dass er ricochet auf sein bulletproof vest, but I ain't buying this. And this is again a long shot, meaning es nicht gewinnt kein handheld, a pistol, eine Ziegewachse mit dem geschossen. It's crazy. I wonder which movement is going to happen because of this. Problem is mit jetzt reviewen Neginam is a bisschen dangerous, weil uns sind wir in Azami Mood. Und ich will nicht wasen der Video. Ich will nicht wasen der... Ich habe es übergewascht, like 10, 15 Mal. Es hat also lifeless. Es hat also lifeless, ist ich. Sie ist bad. Oh, wei. Und ich weiß nicht, wie viel wusste Hitter so. Like, there is something, was sie geschehen. Something. Ich habe gesehen, Menschen auf X, auf Twitter, formerly Twitter, sind gewesen den ganzen, like, zerbrochen in John. Hello and welcome. Ich habe nicht gesehen, liebes Interview mit Jana Cohen, but it's of Hebrew, right? It's of Hebrew, Jana video? But nur wenn man gesagt hat, sie kennen so ein Ricochet auf sein sort of bulletproof vest or something. Aber getracht, okay, kennen sie einmal like direct pressure, but no. Frei die Wiesel. Lass mal sehen, wie lang es... Oh man. Lass mal sehen, wie lang es ist. Connected personally with him. Man geht gedenken, they took for a moment, to be quite honest. Wie ist es? Hold on, lass mal gehen so. Reason why people are so shaken by the reason. Shimmy makes sense. I think probably died on the way to the hospital. Ich meine, gewinnt heute schneller, wie man gemeint. Like. Kese Zambari wird also... Ich habe schon gesehen, heute Menschen. Ich habe schon gesehen, wie seine wird heute schnell. So, that... there.
Put it this way.
Okay, so uns gehen wir diese Review an. Friday Wiesel. Are both sides condemning the killing of each other forever? Condemned to kill each other. Es ist geworden over like 3 Takes zurück, so 24,000 views. Es ist 1 hour and 28 minutes. Sollen wir das machen 1.5? So wir können judgen Body language, Let's get into it.
There are two peoples who want this same peace. More than it.
He is, and if I can say so, a free thinker with deep knowledge of the Hasidic community, the Orthodox Jewish community, the modern Orthodox community, and many unique humanist and unflinching critical views. I hope we will get to hear today from him on topics like Zionism, Hasidic education, different Hasidic groups, and more hot button topics. Hello, Rabbi Schiller. And was that introduction that I wrote okay?
Absolutely okay.
Okay, good. Because I didn't just copy paste Wikipedia. I wanted to
Kijk, om beide hebben backgrounds met books.
articulate what I have been getting to know about you a little bit and what I think the viewers will find interesting about you. So I think it would be helpful, people who don't know anything about you, to start by getting a sense of your own personal background and life story. Can you share a little bit on that?
In order to grasp that clearly, when I think I have to go back to 1881, which may sound like a bit of a jump, but...
I get the English. Suspicious.
That's when Tsar Alexander II is assassinated in Russia. So in the aftermath of that, there was a tremendous growth of violence against Jews in Tsarist Russia. So between 1881 and 1924...
Friday kicked us a bit lost.
Tsar Alexander II is assassinated in Russia. So in the aftermath of that, there was a tremendous growth of violence against Jews in Tsarist Russia. So between 1881 and 1924, I think it's 3 million Jews from Russia came to America. 1924, they changed the immigration laws, so it became very difficult to come from Eastern Europe. So my ancestors all came during that period. I don't think there's anybody in my family that came to America after World War I.
Move your picture to the side. Wie soll ich es reden? In der Mitte? Sollte man geben Platz für jedem, ja?
Now, you have to understand that that generation came to America when there was almost nothing in the way of yeshivas or any Jewish education, certainly not for girls either. But there might have been a few elementary schools. There were a few elementary schools, but nothing that went past 8th grade. So much of that generation drifted in various ways and various levels out of Orthodoxy. So in my own family, it was pretty much, they all went outside of Orthodoxy. And by the time you got to the third generation, it was... a fourth generation in some cases, there was very little left. I lived in a uniformly Jewish neighborhood in Regal Park, Queens, but I don't think anybody in that neighborhood had any inkling, and I say inkling, of Shabbos or Kashrus or anything else. We lit Hanukkah, left, and had a Seder, which we drove to my uncle's house for the Seder, but there was very little practice of anything. And just to accentuate this, I'll tell you, we did go to Hebrew school in either...
Accentuate this? What's happening?
A conservative temple or reform temple, each of us, almost all of us. And I remember once the teacher said to us, because we learned the Pusik of Ukshatim Leza Yodecha, that she said, Yeladim, there are people in the world that actually take leather straps and tie them around their arms and head. None of us had ever seen or heard anything so bizarre. So now, again, your listeners shouldn't be confused, because we were defiantly Jewish. If there was a Jewish coach or ball player, we all rooted for him. We saw ourselves as Jews. And that's also before Israel.
I think so, Brooklyn. I don't know. We'll see. Eine sucht, dass got, oh yes, the capital letters.
Became part of the American Jewish consciousness. I'm talking about the mid-50s. Israel was not a big factor, but nor was the Holocaust. But yet there was this underlying sense that we are Jews, we are not non-Jews. So that's the world I was brought up in. And
physically in Queens.
That's a perfect English.
Did you say?
Yes, Regal Park, Queens.
Regal Park.
This was education did.
Queens, got it. Okay, can we ask what years?
Yes. Well, we lived in Brooklyn from when I was born in 1951 until 1956 when we moved to Regal Park. So I was in Regal Park from 56, and then we moved to Rockland County in 1963. We moved to Rockland County. I graduated PS 206, 6th grade in 1963.
How come you moved to Rockland County?
Oh, because Queens was the first step of upward mobility for that generation, and then the suburbs was the second step of upward mobility.
Was it already white flight at that time?
Not in Regal Park. No, in many parts of New York it was, obviously, but no, it was just from the apartment.
Hollywood kicked nicht auf ihn, if you realize. He's not really looking at her.
House to the
suburb. It's an interesting place you started. I have to say, I didn't know when I asked you to start from the beginning, and you took us back more than 100 years. That was a surprise. But I understand where you're coming from. I didn't know you're a Baal Tshuva, that you weren't raised in the Hasidic community. I think you identify with Skvir, right? Or
right. So I can do that part of the story.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I'm curious to hear. You're now in Muncie. You've been in Muncie from when you were 13.
If you were going to say broader Muncie, not necessarily municipal or geographic Muncie.
Okay.
But we lived in Pomona, which is.
I lived in Pomona as well, by the way.
Yeah. But that's my family moved to Pomona.
Got it. Beautiful.
Right. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm listening.
I had stumbled upon political and social and cultural questions in the spring of 1962 when I was in fifth grade in 2006, and I bought some political and social books. So that led me into a deep interest in history and political ideologies and beliefs. And that inevitably forced me to grapple with religious questions, because as a philosopher once said, all questions are ultimately religious questions, because what is good, what is right, what is life, what is death? So you're forced back into understanding religion. And I was haunted by it. And in seventh grade, in April of 1964, I convinced two of my classmates in Kakiat Junior High to join me in an experiment of becoming Orthodox for a month. And we were going to see what this was all about. And we all dutifully bought English Kitzur Shulchan Aruchs. And whatever it was that we knew you had to do, we tried to do. We were, 12 and a half at the time. And in the middle of that month, I said to the two of them, we're missing something here. We're just reading, we're studying, we're practicing mitzvahs. We have to go meet the
I kind of hear that, Penny. I kind of hear you.
people. How can we?
Ik denk dat we geven get education voor kinderen. In the education dat ze niet weggaan. Want du hast er bekommen education in kijkt ons fijn.
Discuss this, we don't see the communities. So on a Sunday morning, we walked from the Spring Valley Jewish Community Center, which was the Hebrew school I attended, a conservative synagogue. We walked down Route 45 to the newly founded village of New Square. And we walked in, and you have to understand, this was a square with maybe 50, 60 families at that point. So we walked from Route 45 till the shul. Nobody, no cars, no people, no nothing on the street, absolutely nothing. Many of the streets were at that time still unpaved. They got, if it rained, they got muddy. There were 2 or 3 paved streets in those days. So we walked to the shul, and we opened the door, and we heard chanting. So my friend immediately got scared, and he said, they're praying, let's leave. He thought they're praying, but of course it was 1:30 in the afternoon, they weren't praying. And we turned around to leave, and the Rebbe, he was coming to the shul, and he greeted us, and Shalom Aleichem boys began to ask us questions. So we told him, we're conducting this experiment to become Orthodox for a month, and as part of it, we're visiting New Square. So he says, there's a fellow inside the shul who 2 years ago became Orthodox, a famous movie star, famous actor. Would you like to meet him? Why not? So we went to the shul, and there was Shlomo Hill, Stephen Hill, of Mission Impossible and Law and Order fame. And he was still in Talis and Tefillin. He was saying to Hillel,
Ich meine, jij bent a judge of Law and Order.
Very late in the afternoon, not early in the afternoon, I'm sorry. And we started to speak to him. He spoke to us. The younger lights from the kollel, in those days would be 10 kollel gather around. And in the middle, the Rebbe came out of his room, went up to kiss the paruchas and started to leave. And Stephen Hill turned to us and said, that's the Rebbe. He's a very, very holy man. Adkan. That was the beginning of an odyssey. And when the month ended, I was in. And many permutations until I got to yeshiva. And my mother wanted me to stay in public school for a year because, as she put it,
Mastermind, was man meint, sie sagen bald Shiva, als einer ist zurückgekommen zu der jüdische Weg. Und represent sich auf der jüdische Weg.
Who knows if this is a passing fad or not? So it made sense. So I stayed in Kakiat Junior High for 8th grade.
Maar als je Shiva vielleicht habe ich sagen, wenn du gehst daran zu ihr Haus und du siehst, dass der Schass ist perfekt und alles ist geht, ist du wissen, dass keiner lernt nicht dort. Als es schmutzig und es zerrissen und zerfehlt, ist du wissen, dass man lernt.
And in 9th grade, a square suggested I go to Breuer's in Washington Heights, the German Orthodox community, because they had a strong English department. And there was nothing in Muncie in those days. There were a few high schools, but it didn't really rival Breuer's. So I went to Breuer's for 2 years. My goal was always to get to Square Yeshiva. Went to Breuer's for 2 years, switched to Beshaga in 11th grade, year and a half in Beshaga, and at age 17, I went to Square Yeshiva. Learned there for a couple of years, got married, learned there in Square Kollel for 6 years, and began my career as a Rebbe, which is all I ever wanted to do was be a Rebbe in Yeshiva with focused on Gemara. And I became a Rebbe at the Yeshiva High School of Queens in 1977. Yeshiva High School of Queens merged with Rabbi Riskin's Manhattan Hebrew High School and became Or Torah Institute in Forest Hills. I was in YHSQ for 4 years, Or Torah for 6 years, and then came to MTA, Yeshiva University High School, where I remained for the next, I think it's 38 years, 39 years, whatever it is, till I retired. And when I became 70, I decided that's it. And I retired very happily. And
is a squarer, out of the bullet pass.
What else can I say? Coached the hockey team in MTA for many years, won some championships, thank God, and wrote some books and some articles along the way. Today, I'm sorry, let's wrap it up. So today, I go to...
In alles this, coached mit Sachen, and it's okay, as man get keine education for the Jüngere?
Minkachi Yeshiva Katana, and I learned there was some Talmidim and talked to them, and that's the story.
I'm just going to do a little note. I'm going to ask you to try to speak, to translate certain words like Shiva Katana.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, because there are people who don't understand that. I'm just curious, did the Square Rebbe have an impact on your decision? Did meeting him in person play a role? I'm just curious because I don't know much about him, and that's a part of your story that I was interested in.
The Rebbe lived 4 years after I first...
Zoekt de Rebbes groenere vroegen. Ze geween 4 geveren zijn gezet naar hem. En jeder gezoekt de Rebbes groenere vroegen. Massas. Het schijnen rondgerieven dat, hallo, die dacht me zoeken van weg Rebbe die red vindt. Wel, in alle rief maar Rebbes groenere vroegen.
Him from 64 to 68. He passed away in 1968. Now, understand that at that point, we had a communication barrier, and that I spoke no Yiddish, and he spoke no English. So if I ever went into him, which I did a few times, it had to be with a translator between us. But he was very loving and very caring and very, very strong influence upon me. There was a levaya, there was a funeral in Skver during those years, and I was standing at the side of the road, and the Rebbe called me over. And I had a red Sansino Gemara in my hand, Hebrew English Sansino, and he asked to see it. He took it in his hands and he looked in this English Aramaic Gemara with such love and such joy. And then he asked me, do I understand it? So again, I didn't understand what he was asking me. It was in Yiddish. So one of the English asked me, do you understand it? So I said, I'm trying. To translate it to the Rebbe. It was, again, a great source of joy to him. So I would say he had a tremendous...
Wenn einer sieht, joinigt von den Sachen, in a Rebbe get a kleine attention, kann es machen riesig. Like, wow, gesucht, hat mich umgekickt.
Impact upon me,
saying.
But it was not via direct verbal communication. His son, the current Rebbe, who was more involved with 2 other people in Square, was more involved in direct communication with me.
Did you marry into the Square sect?
No, my wife is from a very staunch Memphis, Tennessee Baal Tshuva family. They both passed away since then. My mother-in-law and father-in-law passed away.
Did you raise your children Hasidish?
I attempted to. It didn't always work out as I had planned, which is a very prolonged and deep discussion. But, we all have certain dreams and hopes and aspirations. And the younger we are, the more ludicrous they are sometimes. So, thank God.
What I'm really interested in hearing is how you understand this world that you have come so close to, but with such fresh eyes than those that are born into it. I think the Hasidic world, which is arguably the single subject I'm most focused on in my work, most people are born into it and therefore have a very different set of eyes in seeing it. I'm curious both how you feel being about Tshuva made your experience different, but also how you see that world. So I think let's do this as 2 questions. 1, what was your experience as about Tshuva? And 2, how do you see that world as a result of being about Tshuva? Or should I not use the word about Tshuva? Do you find that offensive?
No, I don't find it offensive at all. You got to be careful about your English-speaking audience, though.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to use the term to say that there's a different angle you have when you go through that journey in your teenage years.
Sure. Fran, I did one more footnote to your question, which is, I came in 1964. It's been...
Wat ze ook het, einer was picked is, het kann man nicht verstehen, einer was is forced mit dem. Oder dus is the way. It's a big difference.
Years since then, how has the community changed over those years? So everything changes in life. So I think I would say the following, that to begin with, I was so in love with the community and the way of life and everything about it. It was clear to me that's where I wanted to be, that's where I wanted to end up. Whatever yeshiva I went to, the goal was to get to Square Yeshiva. The goal was to marry and settle in Square. It was an undifferentiated, passionate love affair. Now, as time went on, it became clearer to me that certain things about that way of life were just never going to fit with my personality, my belief system, not going to fit. And then began a process of, as yet ongoing, of trying to, what does it say in the GPS, recalibrate, of trying to recalibrate exactly what my position was. So I'd say that...
Get me sehr stark de Rebbe vibes. Ik zoek voor die zijn Rebbe, but get me ook de vibes. De week we zeggen het masber zagen, de week we zeggen... We kunnen zeggen dat geween naar Rebbe naar Geider.
I am still very much in and still very much in love, but not without some footnotes and nuances and adjustments. The footnotes, nuances, and adjustments, I think I could put into 3 categories. 1, the fact that in the Hasidic world, they tend to see their religion and their culture as the same. And I had to always separate that and understand the error that they were making. Perhaps their culture served as a protective barrier, but it was not identical with the religious belief and practice. That's 1. 2, I had to be aware that as a community, they tended to denigrate is too strong, to forsake general knowledge of...
Denigrate is how I get.
God's world, as well as the other 8 billion inhabitants of the earth. So those 2 things I had to distance myself from them in my heart, not necessarily in practice, but in my heart I had to forsake those 2 things. And I'd say also they tend very much to attribute malicious intent to anybody who seeks in any way to criticize or improve their community. The reason you're doing this is because you want to schmat us. You want to convert us to alien beliefs and religions. And the New York State Board of...
They tied knit inside. It is van den Drosten.
Regents, the battle over circumcision, in Israel, the army. It can never be that the opponent has a legitimate alternative deciphering of reality. He must be desiring my destruction. Yeah. And again, it's a kind of community preserving mythology.
That's true.
So I had to adjust those three things.
That's true. I see it sometimes. I actually just got a comment from someone who also saw me discuss a woman who had a childhood with abuse in the home. And the comment was essentially, this is an underhanded attempt to derail our community, to attack our community. It bothers me that people are falling for this. And it's like, we're talking about someone's legitimate experience of abuse. There's no agenda to do anything underhandedly. The fact that it is creating a negative impression is not in that vein, but it is a part of that persecution complex that at times comes from very legitimate places, and at times is a shadow that is being cast by not the same things.
It's self-preserving.
And it's self-preserving. I really like that you said that. There is, in my view, a lot of pragmatically useful cultural elements. People will ask, why do they have to do X or Y or Z? First and foremost, because it is self-preserving. It is self-preserving. It might not be logical to you. A very simple answer for me is, for instance, women head shaving is so defiant of logic of modesty, of beged ish, which is the prohibition for women to.
Staat toch natuurlijk als die wistig verekkelen van een vrouw. Shave it up the cup. So it's not just this.
Their men's clothing. It's like, why would women shave their heads when it's a men's hairstyle? And various other reasons why it doesn't make sense from a religious perspective. But I think it is also self-preserving in many ways to make such sacrifices, to keep the traditions. And I think a lot of people fail to even accept that self-preservation is a reason to do things. They look for religious explanations.
And the other point is, it's not consciously self-preserving. This is what you do as an Elohim. But no one sat there and said, oh, this is a good idea because it's protecting us. No. They believe their own mythologies.
Yeah, 100%. I interviewed a woman who, Nellie Grosgott, who's now, bless her soul, 95 years old. And she told the story of she grew up in Germany, in Berlin, coming to America in 1940. And her mother marrying a Satmar Chassid and her being sent to the Klosenberger Rebbe to ask him to officiate her marriage to a modern Orthodox man. And the Klosenberger Rebbe said, you must shave your head if you want me to officiate the wedding. I don't think the Klosenberger Rebbe was saying, oh, this is a mechanism of self-preservation. But I think the fact that Nellie said, I'm passing, I'm going to find a new person to officiate the wedding, filtered her out of who is inside and who's outside, who's committed enough. So I think it's like a fifth sense that people have of what's self-preserving.
So
and it's not conscious.
Incidentally, if your listeners are interested, the short-lived Yiddish language somewhat modernist journal, the Wecker, did a long article on the history of women's head shaving from halachic perspectives, where it began, how it came about. So if anybody's interested in researching that, you have to find that issue of the Wecker, which has sadly passed away since then.
Yeah, it was a great periodical while it lasted. Contraband stuff. I have to ask you, what I'm hearing you say is in some ways you were disillusioned. Is that fair to say, or am I putting words in your mouth?
I think I would say I found that it had imperfections.
Okay.
That it, as time went on,
and
it became clear to me that
get patch mit Azizkeit,
my soul could not buy the whole package.
Yeah.
That's what became clear. So then began the new process, as I said, of recalibrating. But I don't think I was angry or defiant. It was just, okay.
Imagine laat a voicemail. Hello, sir. Yeah, whatever. Laat a voicemail. Let's meet next week, Monday. Vox eraan dat in de zesde aim. You wouldn't believe that dat I get English.
We'd have to do this a little differently. And
I think my jaw will hit that table.
And Carl, somehow I had mentioned to somebody the story of Davy Crockett. Now, of course, my Davy Crockett is a fictional figure based upon a Disney movie of the early 1950s. The historical Crockett was rather different, but I meant my Davy Crockett. And I said that he had gone to the Alamo to join the fighters for Texas independence against Mexico, and he gave his life there. So one of the fellows said that it's not possible, since it's not possible. And why not? Said because a goy cannot do anything as a favor to someone else. He's genetically incapable of doing anything kind to another. So there had to be some other motivation here. So I could tolerate a lot, but you're not going to take on Davy Crockett, in the world. So
what happened?
I knew that we had to distance oneself from it a little bit.
That was the line. It had been crossed.
That was it.
That's very interesting. I do relate a lot to what you're saying. I feel like I have a very universalist view of humans. If you're a human being, you're a human being. To me, a good human being more so than another, but I never had this idea that one group is like by default different, better than the other. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm wondering, how do you live closely to that?
I just want to add a little bit of a footnote to what you just said. I would say we have to be a little bit careful when we come to universalist humanism, which again, I do see myself as part of it, but yet I do see that different peoples and places around the globe are different. And whether that is genetic or it's inherited or it's taught, I do think that Tibet is not Zaire, and Zaire is not Japan, and France is not Brazil. So, and I think it's bad to try to erase that. So sometimes a leftist universalist humanism may ignore those distinctions. And there was a political movement in France, which has since splintered many times, called the French New Right, or the European New Right. These were fellows who would come out of defending French Algeria, and after that was lost, they reformulated their worldview to the notion that all peoples are entitled to self-determination and self-identity. So that's the only footnote I would put to what you said before.
I appreciate what you're saying. I
forgot the question in the interim.
My question was how, I'm trying to think of how to talk about this when we talk about people who...
Verwoes? Because ik niet zoals wie kan zeggen liggend. It's a remiss distancing.
Who like will say a goy is not capable of being selfless, for instance. That's to me a very upsetting statement.
Friday had a agenda do?
How do you deal with that?
I file it.
Zij beide, okay, ich weiß nicht wegen beide, aber Friday darf sein, da watchen, weil sie hat the Tours, Williamsburg, she can't be hating that much. And get mir the impression, als gewohnt geworden ist, alles noch ein Committen zu der ganzen Lifestyle. So, is a bisschen confused. Kann nicht wegbacken, so he's just mentally separating the things was is wrong. And bleibt noch allein.
Among certain culture-preserving silliness that they have. And I would just add here, I don't want to give the Hasidim a bad name. I'm not sure the yeshiva should...
By the way, the Hasidim, you can't just give the Hasidim a bad name. Hasidim could make their name bad or good, depending on their action.
Is much better. And modern Orthodoxy, due to the problem of Israel and the Palestinians, modern Orthodoxy is slipping back into this, that they all hate us for no reason. They refuse to recognize our rights in Israel. So I would say even modern Orthodoxy, which had a shot at being better, is due to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict falling back into this, they all hate us, they're all cruel, et cetera, et cetera. So just want to be an ecumenical critic here.
We'll make enemies of everyone by the end of this. How about that?
Fair enough. So again, I file it. Just in this world, it's born of ignorance. It's born of some arrogant ignorance. It's childish, but what can I say? Don't misunderstand what I'm going to say now, nor should your listeners. But you walk into a room and there are some babies in their cribs and they start crying and they start shaking the crib and stuff. Am I going to get upset with them? They're 3 years old. So in this world, when it comes to relating to the outside world, I like those babies. They can't know any better. They don't know any better. They never heard any better. So my feeling is occasionally anger, but generally compassion. And I'll say,
Jimmy, obviously, my conclusion so far, we're not 28 minutes in.
Well, why did God create these 8 billion people? Why did God create grass and trees? Why did God create colors? There's such a shirking of the notion of God as creator in that worldview. So again, no place is perfect.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's also interesting when we talk about universalism. Tribalism is a universal thing as well. Even though some cultures have developed languages to be more sophisticated about it than others, I think it seems to be a human tendency for a lot.
And Western Europe and North America, which are the only places on the face of the earth that want to transcend tribal loyalties, are, again, not belong to this world, I think, because...
Yankee, the host has given us an email.
If France is going to say that Somalians, the Sudanese, and Algerians are French, so what does being French mean? So, I don't think your point is very well taken. It's not a sustainable way of life. Human beings are in groups, and we derive spiritual and psychological sustenance from that. So, we, as I say, universal humanism, but tempered by a sense of identity and continuity.
What makes you, Rabbi Schiller, a Hasidic Jew, would you say? Because the essence of what I feel when talking to you is not a cultural Hasid. You have an orientation to the world that I would describe. I'm sorry if I'm putting...
No, you're good. But again, the rhythms of the life, the shul, the shtibel, the mikvah, shal, again, I grew up on those things. Davening Erev Shabbos was starting with the...
You didn't grow up with these things. Später in life as a aufgepickt. What are you saying?
The Erev Shabbos and Mizmashir. No, so I do groove on the rhythms of the thing. So, I'm sorry, what the phrase you used to describe it was what again? I'm sorry?
I said you don't come off to me as a cultural Hasid. That's what I...
Well, again, not without nuance. But with nuance, yes, very much. I enjoy, to whatever degree, when you're 74 years old, you enjoy things. But again, I do enjoy the simchas and the chasanas and the Tishon and the Rebbes and all these things, and the news and the following the various machlokas and so forth.
The fights, the internal fights.
I'm sorry, yes. So I don't feel unhappy unless, again, these subjects come up. Now, why am I here? Well, in all the versions of Orthodoxy, I think I kind of like this the most. Strikes me as the most sympathetic for the human condition.
How so?
It involves total humanity. I always say Hasidim always build the best sukkahs. There was a modern Orthodox family that was trying to take a Hasidic kid as a son-in-law, and I warned the boy. I said, Friday night, you may wind up with a jar of gold gefilte fish on Friday night. So again, there's more of a holistic life here. The Shalom Zolchas and so much is going on. I mean, my Hasidic friends, I always explain this to the religious Zionist world. It's not that they are consciously disdaining your military and your state. They barely know they exist. They have such a fulfilled internal life. It's not like, there's a war, and no, they're living a very fulfilled life. So I do experience that, particularly amongst Hasidim, the best of all. The others, I might say, the religious Zionist, again, leaving aside the Palestinian question, but maybe let's say the religious Zionist left, but then the religious Zionist left usually loses a little bit in terms of learning and davening, so I'm not sure. So of all the worlds there are.
Pinny, für ein Mensch aufzugeben etwas, fühlt es wie tot. Das ist das Problem. Because dann Kopf, dann Biology sucht die Mizan in a group. Die Mizan in culture macht dich feel comfortable, you belong. If not, you're good for dead, Good as dead.
Strikes me as the best, at least for me at this point.
Very interesting. Are you in a way a child of the 60s? I think so, right?
50s. I mean, in my teenage years.
In your teenage years. So you sort of were there for the hippie era.
Well,
it was in the late 60s.
Square Yeshiva did not send a big contingent to Woodstock.
No. Not even one. Not even a representative of one.
No, I was already...
You were already there. You were born in 51.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I think your story is a little bit like Neo-Hasidism, like a child of that era drawn to the Hasidic world. And then it stops being that hippie Jewish story, right? Do you get what I'm asking?
I do. I'm thinking about it.
Did you know other people of your generation that got interested in Orthodox Judaism?
Stephen Hill.
What happened with Stephen Hill? I don't know.
He became a full-fledged Orthodox Jew, raised his kids essentially Hamish, and went on to real stardom with Law and Order. He was on Law and Order for must be like 12, 13 years, something like that. So he maintained his religiosity while achieving success in the world of Hollywood.
Wow.
He's Adam Schiff on Law and Order. He's the DA of New York City, if you want to check it out. But I remember one of my Talmidim once met him in Square with me.
Gang.
And he started to ask him about one of the cases on Law and Order. So he says, you think I know what I'm talking about? I memorized these lines.
That's very funny. I know a facetious person who thought that one of these crime shows were real. It's like...
Oh, yeah.
You have to...
What I've noticed over the years very much, the Hasidim who wind up, with stays in hospitals and so forth, they think professional wrestling is real. They're horrified by it. They don't realize this is a water...
Ich denke, wenn ich bin gut geworden als professional wrestling is fake, I'm dying.
Full stage vaudeville morality play.
Yes.
So that happens.
That's interesting. I also feel like it looks real to me, and I'm also horrified by it.
That's why they're professionals. That's why they're professionals.
That's why they're professionals. Now all the wrestling. I have some friends that are into wrestling, so I've lost them already as well. We're going through the list.
I have a long digression. I'll try to do it in a minute if I can. When I was a kid, professional wrestling had clear heroes and villains. The hero was mild-mannered. He was humble. He wouldn't break the rules unless provoked beyond endurance. And the villain was always cheating and bragging. Those lines have been blurred since Hulk Hogan in the early 80s, that the notion of the distinction between good and evil has wound up being an amoral blur. So everything in society reflects everything else.
Exactly. I don't think that's a digression, because I think it brings us back to the concept of culture and different cultures. And I think there is an appeal, by the way, speaking of the Hasidic community, we can criticize how they see the other and so on. There is an appeal to the idea of moral clarity instead of moral ambiguity, where I think my first exposure to the secular world's moral ambiguity of this kind was when I watched the Apprentice Donald Trump show at the time, and there was a female character who was intentionally provocative and mean-spirited, and that got her far. And it taught me that being a bad person can be seen as something useful, And I think with social media, that's also
Cash Patel getweet. The suspect in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. Ich hoffe, man trefft ihn.
created a blurring of what's the good and what's the bad. And
This
that
is a deep question when it comes to
Yankee.
literature and theater and so forth, because let's say 1950s TV that I grew up with, there were clear heroes and clear villains. But as the years went on and the liberal arts became more sophisticated, characters became more blurred, as they are in real life, so that the question is, should we want to have that happening? Is it going downhill? Is it realistic art? So, you think of the two great novels of adultery, Anna Karenina and Madame Bovary. And again, they're both not clear whether those are positive or negative or so forth. So again, do we want to have truth and ambiguity, or we want to have this kind of black and white clarity? I'm not sure.
Exactly. That's a great question. I think there is appeal to black and white. And then again, it's not just that ambiguity is sometimes not satisfying and it's also not directionable. It also can be used where the appeal of
Zamnur, I believe Brooklyn, they only have one guy in custody or had one guy in custody, and they released him, and they're still on the hunt for the shooter.
Of the shocker, the negative, can become something of a virtue. So it's not just that we start to lose the gradients of color, of grays, but also that there's a benefit to being bad, so to speak.
Well, on the other hand, I would say that virtue achieved against that backdrop becomes more of a realistic and accentuated and admirable virtue. I said this very much as far as the one of the greatest TV series of all time, which was The Wire. And The Wire is set in except for one season, it's set in the black neighborhoods of Baltimore. And the heroes that emerge there are overcoming a very...
They found him? Ze hem getroffen, the shooter?
Troubling backdrop.
What are you
saying, in that sense, their goodness becomes more accentuated than the goodness perhaps of Roy Rogers, the Lone Ranger, or my own youth. So again, two sides to this question.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, speaking of a very a subject that's often portrayed in so black and white, I do feel like we should try to talk about your experience with Zionism and your views on Zionism more, both in the context of the people you're around and also your own personal views.
First of all, I am what I like to self-describe as an ecumenical Orthodox Jew. By that I mean to say, if you are within the parameters of Orthodoxy, which we have to define, of course, but whatever that is, if you're in, and if you're grounding yourself...
What, you guys think he wasn't a lone wolf? Oy vey.
...in traditional sources, then to my mind, you are legitimate. Maybe an error, but legitimate. So that means from the nether reaches of left-wing religious Zionism to the depths of the Torah, if it is all grounded in legitimate Torah sources desiring to be within the Torah world, I will grant you ecumenical legitimacy of view, as opposed to, let's say, those who have wandered out of Orthodoxy, although I might understand their positions, but I cannot include them in this ecumenical Orthodoxy. So, having said that...
I don't actually know what ecumenical means.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That each differing opinion has a legitimate place and is true. It's true within certain confines. Now, again, the word true here we have to explore also, but it's true within certain confines. So they are allowed to be doing what they are doing based on the sources.
I see.
And there may be grave error, maybe grave practical error, but they're within the confines of the sources, which is to me a very important distinction. Now, having said that,
so hold on, mat aim released oder nicht? Du, this is the mugshot. Is the shooter? All right. Interesting. Ich weiß nicht, ich kenne es man rausgelassen.
The three views within Orthodox Judaism on Zionism. And I insist on these three definitions. There is pro, who see Zionism as a good thing and the state of Israel as a good thing, and maybe even part of messianic divine providence. That's pro. And they'll say Hallel and Yom Ha'atzmaut and so on and so forth. Then you have the antis. Now, the antis are much smaller than you might think. The antis would be Satmar, Tolstoy, Dyshinsky, and Tzvikata, who would say any form of pre-messianic Jewish political sovereignty over Israel is inherently evil. So it could be as orthodox as you want it to be, as learned as you want it to be, but it is illegitimate and evil and must fall. That's what I say. And it varies, the Satmar and the Tzvikata have their differences. I always say the Satmar is missing the final step in the Tzvikata. Satmar says it's evil, it's heresy, it's terrible, it's going to die. And
the first one, the old guy was gehabt the straight released, meaning like they should gewinnt for year. I guess he gewinnt not sure.
But there's no therefore. Because the Tzvikata says therefore.
I don't think Ben Shapiro has to get his thing on high alert. I just think some team weiß schon. Jamie, hello and welcome.
We want Palestinian sovereignty. And Satmar says no, God forbid. So again, that's one small distinction.
How are you, Chaim?
Now, the vast majority, I think it's the majority of Orthodoxy, I'd call non. And that's most of the Hasidic world, the Yeshivish world, in which they have taken this question of whether we should have a Jewish state pre-Mashiach, and they've put it on the side of the table. It has been shelved. They do not deal with this question. The state is here. How can we make the best of it for our needs? And that is non-Zionism. That's almost every Hasidic group, except for that Satmar satellite community, and also almost all of the yeshiva world. Maybe Brisk is a little different, but these are the three positions on the table. Now, this is all a long introduction. Did you want to pause on any of this? Or
No, go on. Go on. I'm listening.
Fine. So again, I say about these issues, I don't really have a horse in the race on these issues. My primary issue is Jews and non-Jews, Jewish internal morality. So as long as these groups, I'm more concerned with whether the yeshiva, whether the Hamish world should serve in the army. I'm more concerned with settler violence against Palestinians. I'm more concerned with the moral or immoral aspects of their worlds. Do I say Hallel Yom Ha'atzmaut? No. Do I fast on Yom Ha'atzmaut? No.
Back it up. He said something. Okay. Let's see again up a minute. Chaim, I really do want to know, yes.
Any form of pre-Messianic Jewish political sovereignty over Israel is inherently evil. So it could be as orthodox as you want it to be, as learned as you want it to be, but it is illegitimate and evil and must fall. That's what I say. And it varies, the Satmar and the Turikata have their differences. I would say the Satmar is missing the final step in the Turikata.
I'm sorry, Chaim. The zweite surgery, how did it go?
Satmar says it's evil, it's heresy, it's terrible, it's going to die, but there's no therefore. Whereas the Turikata says, therefore, we want Palestinian sovereignty. And Satmar says, no, God forbid. So again, that's one small distinction there. But now the vast majority, I think it's the majority of Orthodoxy I'd call non. And that's most of the Hasidic world, the Yeshivish world, in which they have taken this question of whether we should have a Jewish state pre-Mashiach, and they've put it on the side of the table. It has been shelved. They do not deal with this question. The state is here. How can we make the best of it for our needs? And that is non-Zionism. That's almost every Hasidic group, except for that Satmar satellite community, and also almost all of the yeshiva world. Maybe Brisk is a little different, but these are the three positions on the table. Now, this is a long introduction. Did you want to pause on any of this? Or
No, go on. Go on. I'm listening.
Fine. So again, I say about these issues, I don't really have a horse in the race on these issues. My primary issue is Jews and non-Jews, Jewish internal morality. So as long as these groups, I'm more concerned with whether the yeshiva, whether the Hamish world should serve in the army. I'm more concerned with settler violence against Palestinians. I'm more concerned with the moral or immoral aspects of their worlds. Do I say Hallel Yom Ha'atzmaut? No. Do I fast on Yom Ha'atzmaut? No. When I was in
Yom Ha'atzmaut is Israeli Independence Day.
Israeli Independence Day. My apologies again. And when I was in YU and MTA, they said,
Ich fühle wie jeder eine das Hand geht mit Charlie Kirk.
Hallel, I said Barachim, Tachanim. But again, I wasn't flaunting it. I wasn't trying to shove anything in anybody's face.
So they were singing praises on Israeli Independence Day, right. And you were mourning.
Well, no, that would be fasting. In other words, I recited the normative penitential prayers for Monday and Thursday.
Right. Okay. So you were neutral.
I was neutral.
Wie ich verstehe, es ist, als ist ein Jid at birth, but nicht gewähnt nach Huset. Geht abgenommen nach Challenge, werden mehr Yiddish, getroffen Square, geworden als Squarer. Wenn geworden Inside, hat gesehen, die certain Sachen hat ein bisschen weggebackt. Und gewinnt ein Rebbe, Sachjuden. And here we are.
I was neutral. Now, again, understand, my neutrality does not limit me from experiencing great geschmack, joy, in all three camps. I grew up in all three camps. When I go to Israel, I can go to religious Zionist yeshivas and settlements, and I can go into Meir, and I find a sense of enlightenment and passion in all these camps. I do not have a horse in the race. My behavior is based upon sort of standard non-Zionist behavior patterns, but I just like everybody to be a little more moral and caring about the other. And what else can I tell you? I enjoy all three.
Do you, now that the issue is so...
The question is, would he change if he picks up something different?
Animated with what's going on in Gaza. And I will be completely forthright. I have intentionally not immersed myself in what's happening in Gaza. I have found in previous political situations where I was informed, and there's often a very strong emotional, social situation where the more you know, the more difficult it becomes to have a discourse. And so I've just withdrawn myself. I would like to hear your thoughts while making it clear that I really am not informed and I can't speak to it.
Right. First of all, the anger, as you describe it, is so pronounced on this issue. It is almost impossible to locate an Orthodox Jew who will give any credence.
Square tried to brainwash him? Nein, ich meine, nur umgekommen dort in weinig in sehen different von was gesehen in draußen. Which makes sense. Levi Lesson. Hello and welcome.
To the Palestinian history or narrative.
Sind ich du etwas News von Charlie Kirk. The FBI hat released the men was gehat in custody and they're still looking for the shooter. Supposedly, aber gesehen früher, man gesucht mal gehabt the shooter, but ich bin nicht klar mit der information. What a sad day.
It's impossible. And should you suggest that there might be you're met with virulent anger from all, even the Haredim who have sort of extricated themselves from the whole thing. But if you dare suggest that we shouldn't drop an atom bomb on Gaza, you're going to be in big trouble. So again, I put it this way. There are two peoples who want this same piece of land. They each number around 7 million, something like that, about even in their numbers. There are two...
They're not even, because Gaza had 1 point something million, 2 million, and Etzisru had 7.
alternatives here. No more...
How can the shooter run away? He planned it out,
Just two. Either you figure out a way to compromise and share, or you fight and kill each other forever. That's it. Israel has believed, and I believe delusionally, that this war will be the last one. 48, 56, 67, 73, every war is the last war. But it's never the last war, because you haven't addressed the fundamental question. Now, the staunch right-wing religious Zionists would say, yeah, the reason you failed is that you didn't fight these wars aggressively enough. You should have thrown them all out, like Kahana said 50 years ago. You should have thrown them all out. Now we're suffering because we're not aggressive enough. That's the religious Zionist right-wing position. But again, even if there might be truth to that, but it doesn't relate to reality. These 7 million people are not going away. They're not going anywhere. So I think these are the options. Either you
Ich fühle, wie sie ein bisschen, sie gewinnen verloren am nicht. Which makes sense, weil ist zu professorisch.
for some kind of compromise, or you opt for endless war and endless killing. But don't delude yourself that this war is going to be the last one. It's not going to be. That's my first.
I don't know. I don't know if it's so Emmas, but I was going to the ganze Hamas leadership. The question is no, what the end goal is. Geht man change near the minem dorten in Gaza? Got change the curriculum? What is the Israelis' secret plans? Wer ik ben behind October 7? Got to peel the onion. Kann ich geben sogar aus.
My second point. Right now, Israel lives from America, off of America. Is that going to go on forever? As America changes demographically, is that going to go on forever? Germany, France, England have already kind of shifted gears on these issues. So it might be wise to try and do something today in terms of compromise. The anti-compromise people will say, just can't trust these Palestinians. They're pathologically homicidal and genocidal. Okay. So if that's the case, then kill each other forever. And I don't say that dismissively. Maybe you are condemned to fight and kill each other forever, but say it. Say it. Those are the two options. Personally, I'd like to lean towards the peace option, but I think Israel has gone so far beyond that today. Maybe Trump, with all his finagling and his art of the deal, maybe Trump can figure something out. But I'm a pessimist. I'll tell you a cute story here, if I may. I have some interest in sports, and even in Israeli soccer, I have some interest. There is a team that has traditionally been in the first division in Israel.
He doesn't mean people from Gaza? So do sag meer wie 7 million Arabs. Arabs.
Which is an Arabic team. Arabic owners called Bnei Sachnin. They play in a village in Israel called Sachnin. And that's the Arab team. And I made up my mind on one visit to Israel. I wanted to go to Sachnin. I don't know. I want to visit the stadium. I want to find some store that sells souvenirs. I want to go to Sachnin. So the cab driver in the hotel where I was staying, he said, no, you don't want to do that? And I said, no, it's going to be okay. Just come. So my son and grandchildren opted out of this trip. And I went with this cab driver to Sachnin. I was driving around, and as we come in, it must have been dismissal time from the school. So there's thousands of Arabic kids coming out of the schools on all sides. And we're driving along with our Israeli license plates. And we got to the stadium, which was completely locked. So the cab driver says, all right, there's nothing to do. I say, no. We are going to find something. Just start driving around these streets. We will find something. So on some dirt road and in a back street of Sachnin, we saw a store that had soccer balls and uniforms in the window. I said, oh, that's what I've been looking for. Stop the car. So we went into this sporting goods store, liberally described. And I told the owner, I'm from America. I follow Sachnin a little bit. Oh, best friends. So he's offering me this and that, and I'm buying stuff, and he's giving me free stuff. And he's calling up all his relatives to come say hello to me. So by the time this visit ended, it must have been 20 Sachnin residents in the store with me, teenagers, adults, this and that. And we're all schmoozing and talking and so forth. Adka. We're walking out of the store, and I turn to my cab driver, and I say, no, what do you say now? He says to me in his Israeli accent, I think you should run for mayor of Sachnin.
So what was your takeaway from the experience?
It is possible. You can talk to people. We had a common ground with the soccer, and we were able to break down what might have otherwise been barriers. So again, I'm not there. I'm not involved. I have many, many friends in Talmidim that are on both extremes here, far-right settler community, in the Turikat, the Satma. I have friends in all these circles. Again, I'd like to try to give it a shot. There was a rabbi in there, it's Rabbi Froman, who was a formerly right-wing religious Zionist, became much more in the peace camp. So Rabbi Froman might be the role model. When the settlers would burn down a mosque or something, he would go there with his Talmidim and repaint it and rebuild it. So they once asked him, so how do you see this all settling in terms of countries? And so he says, what's the master? He says, it belongs to him, it all belongs to him. So the political configurations were not his major concern. Emotionally, I'm there. Do I think that this is going to really be achieved? I'm pessimistic.
I relate to a lot of your worldview, by the way, which is not surprising because I feel like we both have an affection for human quirks and a forgiveness towards it, which allows us to inhabit different cultural spaces. And I also relate to the idea of if only we talked, if only we gave ourselves a chance to find connection ground. However, I also intellectually believe myself to be a fairly naive idealist who is not realistic about the human condition. For instance, in my own work, I think I've done marvelously in connecting with people who are from very different backgrounds, very different value systems. And I'm so grateful for these relationships, and they're full of humor and richness, and they enrich my life and they enrich other people's lives. But I go most of the distance. I will do much of the work to ensure that relationship is achieved. And I feel like it's not 50-50. So in order to have this kind of utopian scenario where people from differences can come together, there has to be more on each side, and that isn't realistic.
I'm forgetting the name of the film that Menachem Daum did.
You were in it, right? You were in it.
No, I was in his first, about Chassidim in America.
Yes.
He did a later film in which he tries to connect with the citizens of a Palestinian village who had been driven out in 48. And he wants to gather together Jews and Palestinians who are going to restore the cemetery. I'm forgetting the name right now, but you can find it easily.
We'll look it up. Yeah, we'll look it up.
You're really going to love it. But he encountered this problem that he found that, he was willing to go halfway, if not more than halfway, but many of the people on both sides were not. He brings a Holocaust survivor woman to meet with this Yaqub, who's this Palestinian confidant, and he says he won't meet her in the hotel. He says, why not? Because that hotel was built upon the ruins of a Palestinian village. And so she comes out of the hotel. So she says to him, you don't realize the Holocaust, we were all killed and destroyed. No one would take us in. So Yaqub says, why is that my father's fault? You go to the Germans. But my father shouldn't be chased out of his village for that reason. And then you've got the whole not willing to go, halfway on either side. I would always visit in Harlem. There used to be something called the Revolutionary Book somewhere on Lenox and 126th. I'd always go there first to sort of buy black nationalist literature, but also to schmooze, to talk with the people there, the owner of the store, and this and that. And there was a woman who was the owner of the store.
Sound you sach knowledge, and as they all squared, what's happening?
And she said to me, maybe I could arrange for some speakers to come into your high school to discuss black identity and black nationalism. Thank you. What can you tell her? What can you say to the woman? There's nothing you can say. So again, there's models to go here. And by the way, I have many friends in the Catholic traditionalist circles and other circles where, again, if you just listen with empathy, but most of us are not interested in doing that. We
listen with empathy. Yeah, of course.
Fear that empathetic listening.
Yeah. And I think it brings us back to tribalism. And
by the way, and you don't mind hitting the like button.
The pragmatic value of tribalism. I think there's a benefit to saying, well, we're not so interested in understanding the other because how are we going to survive if we're working so hard to understand everyone else?
Yeah, I have gone several times to Northern Ireland because I have a great interest in the conflict there, the Protestant-Catholic conflict. And again, this is a theme that I constantly felt there, that there's so much blood been spilled, so much has taken place. Today they have made some progress, actually, but it's very hard to bring together such wounded people. And I said about the Israelis and Palestinians, these are two very wounded people. It's tough to get them together. Now, the point you make, which is even a more important point, perhaps, people would say, who needs it? The average Orthodox Jew would say, who cares who needs it? Why should I care about them? But then I'll usually answer, but you do want them to care about you, don't you?
Well, a lot of people are like, well, if I only care about me, and if we care about us and we bomb them, then we survive. And
in Israel, I meant more so the Hamashite amongst non-Jews in America. You want stuff from them. You want them to care about you.
Yeah, that's
so. This is a very painful thing, as you say. Going halfway, you have to go more than halfway. The Nation of Islam, the Farrakhan organization, used to have in Harlem, opposite the Apollo Theater, a bookstore, books and tapes and so forth. And I would go there occasionally, and just sit and talk with the fellows there. And it became so that when I would come, if there would be any people around there casting me a dark glance or a dirty look, the fellows running the bookstore would say, no.
The reason Chaim, I cannot reden is weil kommt von einer culture, kommt von einer background, als gekannt kein reden zu andere. Einer, was nicht aufgewachsen also, kann ich kein reden. Hat das nicht in der Blut. Kijkt nur aus wie Chusset. Ist nicht technically a Chusset. Meaning, is a Chusset, whatever. I don't know what makes a Chusset, but sein Brain ist nicht 100% Chusset. Nicht aufgewachsen auf Sand Street, nicht gegangen in Sand Street. Nicht bekommen Makas als zweijährige Kind. Hat es gechoost.
Oh, good guy, this Rabbi.
Ich mache es weg. I'm just saying the state of the situation.
He's a good guy, But again, as you say, it's a massive undertaking on both sides. And, maybe we prefer to be hated. I mean, maybe everybody prefers to be hated.
It brings us back to the benefit of black and white thinking. It makes the world simpler. It makes it clear what's good, what's bad, avenues in life. Most people don't have the luxury to spend so much time thinking and walking between the raindrops.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll be talking with some boys and somebody will say, oh, he's an anti-Semite. That one's an anti-Semite. And I'll say, facetiously, aren't they all? And very often they'll say yes. Listen, I like to feel that in a little small world that I inhabit with some Talmidim and friends and so forth, that I have made some
Chaim, kannst nemen inspiration von dem, kannst dich trauen zu lernen von dem, you know?
progress in these areas, but not no.
Viggy, you like Bells and Nisser? Sent you a nice song. Ich habe gesehen, dass du mir geschickt etwas. Ich habe gesehen, dass rausgekommen in der Video. Ich kenne nicht Bells and Nisser. So I'll have to listen to Bells and Nisser to see if I like it. So we'll keep it on the roster.
Large scale. And those segments of Jewish history, which were...
Ich bin aufgewachsen mit Satmer and Nisser, so anything else seems a bit off for me. But maybe if I listen to it a couple of times, we'll see.
A little better off in this regard. German Orthodoxy, Renaissance Italy, Golden Age Spain, very often didn't end well. So that makes the task all the more difficult. German Orthodox or German Jewry in general was trying very hard to be good, loyal Germans or Italian Jews before Mussolini. And we see where it came to. So far from simple. I will say that I think in America or England, before the Hamish Yidentum came, before the ultra-Orthodox came, that things were moving in a somewhat different direction. So, who knows what may yet happen. Just a cute story in that regard. In 1958, the Manchester United soccer team, football team, was coming back from a tournament in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, and the plane crashed somewhere over Germany, and many of the players were killed. Many were crippled. And I have a friend of mine who lived in Manchester as a child, and he came home. In those days, soccer players came from the city they played for. Not like today where you spend millions of dollars and find the best Argentinians or Brazilians. So he came home that afternoon, and his father was sitting. His father was a yeshiva man in Manchester, and he had the newspaper open, and he was crying. He said, what's the matter? He said, Das ist unsere Kinder. Das sind unsere Kinder. Which in English means, they are our children. We've come a long way from that idea, but it's that kind of story that gives me some hope.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think the direction of the UK Jewry was before?
Sehr touching story. It's a vast auch für Kinder. Jeder einer is a part von us.
Or the Orthodox Jews settled there. What were you saying there?
Right then, and even when the first Orthodox came, it was trying very much to identify both with being a citizen of the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, whatever it was, and also to be Orthodox. Both in England and South Africa, there was almost no Reform Judaism. Everybody belonged to Orthodox synagogues, and yet it was not a contradiction with their identification as English or British.
Here's a question I have for you. I haven't really delved into theology with you.
The einzigste andere Nisser, was ich habe ausgehört, a couple of times geliebt gehabt, ist von Toldes Avram Yitzchak oder Toldes Avram Yankov. Eine von den beiden. Arle Samad singt das. So, ich habe es sehen a couple of times and then I enjoyed it. Closer to Rosh Hashanah gespielt.
And I want to stick to the topics we're talking about because they are very personally relevant for me.
Ich spielen in the morning lives.
And therefore I find them very interesting. I'm not a very religiously thinking person, so I'm not so interested in religious questions. But this is sort of
Sand Street, as Satmer hat gehad a yeshiva auf Sand Street. In jeder gegangene Sand Street jener Zeit. I mean, the Satmer. So it's a memory recall.
Jason, for me, when it comes to the question of should we prioritize tribal survival versus a humanism, there's another human being, flesh and blood. For me, I feel like we have a moral imperative to look after humans, to not hurt other humans to the extent that, of course, is reasonable, meaning self-defense makes an exception and so on. But that, for me, comes out of what I call a secular perspective. I don't have a religious imperative to prioritize one tribe over another. If you're a human being, you're a human being to me. For you, as an Orthodox Jew, how does that play in? Because I find often Orthodox Jews, their tribalism comes from a perspective of, listen, this is almost like a religious orientation. We have to look after the neshama of another Jew. Therefore that gives it religious weight to the tribalism.
I would grab hold of and cite for you many models of Orthodox Jews, Torah Jews, who have that sense of the value of the other, precisely because God is the creator of mankind and of creation.
Pini, dan tata gedreift ab aus Sand Street. Oh, ich habe so dan tata. I'm joking. Wenn man foot auf der BQE, kann man sehen, the building so Chinese, far Brooklyn Bridge, kann man sehen auf der rechten Seite, fuhren dich zu Borough Park von Williamsburg, kann man sehen a building, was hat da Chinese letters auf es, oder Japanese letter. Ich meine Chinese letter. Jene building ist es gewesen.
The same way I would attach value to grass.
In der Gas heißt Sand Street. Ich denke, ich habe mal gefunden der Exit und ich sehe, steht Sand Street. I'm like, oh, this is Sand Street. And it clicked.
Trees, because God created them. There is a famous word from Rav Shamshafal Hirsch, obviously the great teacher of German Orthodoxy, on the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, where it says a person is walking along the path and he's learning, and he's mafsik min mishnah, so he interrupts his learning to say, how beautiful is this tree? How beautiful is this flower? So the Mishnah says, Harazem yishai b'nafsho. It's a capital crime. So it first says like this. He says, what does it mean? Umafsik mimishnaso. He separates his Torah from God's creation. And he just, he's an aesthetic. Oh, it's beautiful. But who is the author of this beauty? So,
oh, nice, Penny. Okay.
That's mishayed benasho. That's the capital crime, to separate beauty and humanity from their creator. So I always say, again, I was very into tropical fish when I was a kid, and the cardinal tetra and the neon tetra are particularly beautiful.
As ook werter was the face doesn't match the words. You know what I mean?
Fish, of course, saltwater fish are exceptionally beautiful. All species of clownfish, the orange and the white. So I would always say to the Hemeshahid, I would say, so all of this was like God on a bad day as an afterthought to snare us in evil. That's why he made this brilliantly beautiful creation. It's all a trick. So I said, that's a very, very demonic God you have. And of course, it confuses them. But why? Again, why have these beautiful clownfish? If you believe God is the creator, then why do you need 27 different varieties of orange striped clownfish?
Yeah. And the whole refrain.
So to sum up, so it's precisely because of a God-centered worldview, and how many leaders of the world in various contexts.
When these of this also just audible, nicht visual, you wouldn't picture this face.
Have based themselves upon this God-centered worldview. Again, I'm not a great fan of Martin Luther King for many reasons, but surely he was rooted in a profoundly God-centered worldview. So again, I don't think it has to result in denigration of the other.
God-centered worldview is not, to my mind, entirely the same as an Orthodox Jewish-centered worldview.
Depends which Orthodox Jewish we're talking about.
Yeah.
In Eretz Yisrael, there are two yeshivas I would suggest if you ever get there to visit. One would be Har Etzion, which is Rabbi Lichtenstein, his yeshiva, which is very much grounded in a universalist humanism. And there's another yeshiva next to Tveria, Yamal Gilboa. It's also sort of in that worldview. So, I think that there can be an Orthodox Judaism which is God-centered and yet not denying God as creator. So there is way to go.
Do you share these views with the people of your world uncensored?
When I was younger, and the answer was yes. But then I learned that you always have to know who you're talking to.
You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them.
Yeah, your audience, absolutely. For many years, for 1 or 2 years, I had season tickets to the Rangers.
Season tickets to the Rangers, die gafst. Das kweeringe man lebt met Michiel gaat. Hoe ze dus Rangers? Hoe ze dus de Rangers? Ze is range?
Kitty in Madison Square Garden. And we had sitting behind us an Italian family, a father and 2 sons, I think, used to come. And we had a splendid...
By the way, zeg heb ik geen doel. And you don't mind, ga hit the like button. Ze gaat een lange, riesige week.
...relationship when talking about the Rangers and their fortunes and where they're going.
Thank you.
But although they were Italian, I would assume they were some kind of Catholic. I didn't think sitting down talking about Thomas Aquinas or Augustine with them was going to be what would be appropriate. So again, you have to sort of sense it. The answer to your question is yes, when I sense that there is possibility of movement, or when they're so close to me that I simply can't hold back and then I get upset afterwards.
How does that relate to your children and grandchildren? Are they in the cast?
My children and grandchildren, well, it's great-grandchildren now, but I find that this teaching of mine, by and large, has penetrated them. And they are, by and large, better. The Palestinian thing is much tougher, much tougher. I mean, my son can go with me almost completely when it comes to general non-Jews in general, but Palestinian thing he gets stuck on. So I always tell him the Palestinian issue is the Rabbi Akiva Eger of Universalist Zionism. It's the very difficult subject in the Beis Medrash. So, all right, if we get you there up till that point, I'll be happy. But by and large, they have. By and large, a lot of them have. Whether they've remained within Orthodoxy, some have sadly not remained in. But either way, they tend to be a little bit broader in these areas.
Can I ask what goes through your mind when you say sadly they have not remained? What about it makes, as a universalist, what about that makes you sad?
Right.
Or makes you call it sad?
At the end of the day, I am a believer. And I do believe that God sums us to certain tasks. And if we're not performing those tasks, it's a great tragedy. Whether we'll be blame in heaven or not, I leave to the Almighty. Each one of us has our own complex personal situation, but the ideal for me is for a Jew to be a Orthodox Jew. As incidentally, and this would take us very far afield, it is my belief about non-Jews as well, that I believe that their traditions are their means to heaven, salvation, whatever, very much influenced by the traditionalist school of René Guénon and Fistjof Schuon and others. So again, that's why I say it's tragic, because I see any distancing ourselves from God as a sad thing. So that's why I say sadly.
I want to explore a little more about what you're saying about tradition, because in the beginning of the interview, you said Hasidim conflate their religion and culture. And I think that is because they call culture or tradition religion, which is essentially similar to what you're saying now.
No, that's not what I meant by that. I don't mean culture when I say tradition. By tradition, I mean the inherited religious practices and beliefs of the faith, not not whether you're going to eat, very heavily seasoned Swedish fish Friday night or not.
I see. I understand. So can you give me an example how that would play out with a different religion? What you're like?
Imagine einem reden sie 2-3 Squaring geladen seine Age. Ältere Menschen. Wieso connects the Chafila? How do you even... They don't even know what you're talking about.
Confession for a Catholic?
Well, very much so. Precisely. I think it's a grand example. In other words, and there's two ways we can view God on this, two ways. But I think the result is the same. If a Catholic goes to confession, provided the priest is a good priest, which is very rare today, but provided he's a good priest, and provided the confession is sincere, and provided the person sincerely regrets what they have done. So the ritual says, say these things, and your sins are now forgiven. So I would say that Almighty God, whether it is an inherent metaphysical cause, or whether it's God's pity on love and pity and just judgment, forgiving them, they must be forgiven. They must be forgiven by that process.
I hear that. It's very
I call it the subjective theory of salvation.
It's a pluralism thing.
They would be dumb. Yeah. Just the vague ooghet, wieso they will accept him. They wouldn't. Wegen dem ist nicht in ganzen Daten.
Area of salvation to me. Each
right.
tribe or group.
Yes, within its own format. And again, I don't want to be so bold as to say it is metaphysically active, but certainly to the degree that God is a just and charitable judge.
I understand.
And that's why I can go to Northern Ireland. I can stand on both sides of the wall that exists in Belfast and enjoy both perspectives.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Funny story. If I want one funny story here. So I was hosted there by loyalists from the Protestant camp, and I told them I want to go to the Catholic side of the Falls Road. So there is a belief in Northern Ireland that there are slight...
Hat een große worldview. Hat een riesige worldview. En ich meine, geht Verwahrsamkeit. Wir nehmen sie geworden als Quere. Wir nehmen sie geworden nach Hause. But hat research auf a Sach.
Differences in
education.
Between Protestant and Catholic communities. Not that I could possibly hear with my North American ear, but they believe this very strongly. Say, okay, we'll take you to certain Republican bookstores or IRA Republican bookstores, but you're going to have to talk. We will not speak, because if we do, they're going to know we're from the loyalist community. So I'm sure that's the way it happened. I went there and had a conversation, but they wouldn't let me talk because they wouldn't let themselves talk. Yes. So.
It's so interesting. It's everywhere the same thing always.
Oh boy.
It's the same patterns replicate everywhere.
And I would add, the current leftist worldview, which is dominant in Western Europe, North America, is also a functional tribal religion. In other words, if you dissent from them on LGBTism or racial differences or many issues, you'll be met with the same fury that a Catholic might be met with in loyalist neighborhoods in Belfast.
Yeah,
it's a pseudo. I say pseudo, not that it's false, but I say it is a substitute for religious dogmatism.
That makes sense to me. It has a similar orientation of good and bad, which religion can offer. Not being accepting, not being inclusive is evil. And
absolutely, 100%. Sure. And in fact, I would say they have their chosen peoples. In other words, they will excuse much more evil from non-white peoples than they will from white people. Because again, they have a chosen people also. Chosen people are non-whites. They're even they themselves are white, but that's their chosen people.
It's and some argue there's a guilt element that gives rise to this self-flagellation around who's the chosen people, so to speak. It's very interesting to me that there's a lot of discourse around getting more enlightened than religion, and then certain behaviors that seem to me very religious-esque, the canceling, the shunning those who are seen as saying the wrong thing, are then exemplified by the very people who claim to be liberated from religion. I find that really interesting.
Yes, the bizarre love of the most extreme Palestinian nationalist movements combined.
Get a gitte perspective when einer hat gitte education, Penny. Human realist. Hello and welcome. Scheint zu sein.
With an ascent to LGBTism, which is sort of, these dogmas don't really hold together, but they love them both.
Yeah.
But there's auch het wasen, als me kan geben education für ein Kind, in het nog altijd blijven de weg wie het is. En is aangekomen en is geblieben. Is aangekomen. So it's not so threatening.
So interesting.
The educational system and media are so powerful, so powerful. Listen, they converted a whole generation of young people to support the Palestinian cause. Now, whether that's right or wrong, but it's a massive educational transformation that they've achieved here. They decided that Israel...
News wegen Charlie Kirk. Beide Menschen, die zusammengenommen in custody, der FBI, beide sind geworden released. Frieden gewesen, bis sie einer, sie nicht. Ich sehe jetzt Reporting als beide.
Was a settler colonialist government, very finished. And therefore it should be treated like the Belgians in the Congo, the English in Kenya, the French in Algeria, and they must...
Trump, sie müssen watchen noch dem.
...be opposed with any means necessary. Wow. 20, 30 years, they pulled off the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm very much in agreement with you about the power of media, and it's something I talk about in my own work. And it frustrates me that people will have this blasé attitude of, it's just entertainment. It's what do you mean it's entertainment? It's literally the diet on which your brain is shaped. Your subconscious, your conscious, everything's being shaped by it. And a big part of the reason why I feel such a resistance to touch the Israel-Palestine topic in my own research is not laziness. It's because there is such a strong media diet of propaganda around it that I know that the more I'll know and the more I'll care and the more I'll immerse myself, the more frustrated I'll get by how propagandized there is. Not that there isn't legitimate criticism on both sides, but of course, any kind of violence bothers me, and I feel like there's legitimate criticism to be had in like for people who take these subjects critically. But like you said, and I see this in my comments so often, people speak with such regurgitated propaganda without being aware of it, which
and so angry,
angry about subjects that they have no up close. It's almost like an artificial anger.
It's a tribal anger, would you say?
It's a tribal anger. And that brings us back to how comforting tribalism is, how much it gives people.
I once spoke for a few minutes in one of the yeshivas I'm in, sort of explaining the Israeli-Palestinian thing in a historical perspective. And a few weeks later, one of the kids said, Rebbe, but you're on the Palestinian side, no? I said, no, I was presenting two sides of this conflict. But since there are no two sides, I was obviously on the other side.
Yes, yeah, that's so interesting. I find that also people have said of me that I am I'm pro-Israel, which I find not that I'm or that I someone said I said I have unconditional support of Israel. I don't know that I said that. I don't even know what I believe. It's so interesting that you would be able to deduce that, but that is, like you said, there's one side only that gives rise to that.
I'll add another point here that the left has come to regard Israel as a colonialist
Hershey. Hello and welcome.
Enterprise. But my question is to those of world Jewry that reject that and reject it virulently.
Why sad? Wegen Charlie Kirk.
But where were you in the Congo or Rhodesia or Algeria? There you were with the indigenous people's violent rebellions. Their war against civilians did not discredit the cause. As many teenage ice cream stores in Algiers that the FLN blew up. Didn't matter. So again, the flip-flop on this issue on the part of many Jews, I find what's the word? Discrediting.
I have another question that I want to hear your thoughts on Israel, on the Israel issue. We were talking earlier about there being cultures, essentially. I think that's how I would
wenn das endigt sich, ga ich spielen.
Frame it. When I said that a human is a human, to me, you said there are tribes, essentially. There are Japanese, there are Brazilians, and so on. When it comes to the essence of the question of what is an Israeli, that's something I sometimes think about, because is an Israeli equal a Jew? You're an Ashkenazi Jew with roots in Eastern Europe. You seem to have a lot of ties, visits to Israel, but essentially you're not an Israeli, right? You're a Jew and not an Israeli. Is that fair to say?
As they say in the courtroom.
A West hat ihm nicht geholfen.
Proceed.
He got shot in the neck.
Proceed with that line of questioning.
Yes. So what I want to ask, and I'm going to get to the point, if you see that the culture of Israelis is nowadays unique and has emerged as its own culture, and how that might be different, or what that might be, and if that is relevant to the conversation around Israel-Palestine. In other words, to be more precise, some say the Israelis have developed such a aggression mentality that has become their culture, almost a need to defend themselves. Do you have thoughts on that?
First, a humorous quick footnote here. Tuvia was a bookstore here in Muncie, Tuvia's bookstore. He used to sell caps, baseball caps. And one of the baseball caps said the following: I made Aliyah despite the Israelis. So, anyway, no, I know what you're talking about. Well, obviously, the more you go into sort of Haredi-esque communities, the less that disconnect takes place. And when I go to those places, you walk in Gula, Sharm, it's like walking in Muncie in many ways. So they are much more easily identifiable with the traditional Ashkenaz Hamish culture. But when you step outside of that, whether to the religious Zionist world or to the non-Orthodox world in Israel, that's where it becomes more pronounced. I think they are a subcategory of me. In other words, I understand the Israeli cab driver, and I understand them, and they are a part of me, but we're different in many ways, but I would still see them as very much a part of me by virtue of their being Jewish, and the Sfaradim or whoever it might be, I see them as part of me. And my son invariably, who, as I told you, has inherited many traits from me, and whenever we drive in Eretz Yisrael, he'll always pick up the soldiers who are hitchhiking and always strike up a friendly conversation with them. So that by the time we disengage, by the time the soldier gets off, he's best friends with them. So I'd say that would be my ideal approach to them, that Tel Aviv was part of me. It's part of me.
I think I wasn't clear with my question. I don't know. It's not a question of if it's part of you. Of course, it's a part of you. We're all Jews, and that makes us, even if I think Israelis that are not Jews, but I think by extent.
There's a default. Warum is man default?
I'm asking if Israelis have developed a culture just like Ashkenazi Jews have developed a culture, and if that culture plays a role in the conflict.
Yeah. There's a certain harshness to their personality. I agree with you. In other words, in addition to the traumas of the European experience, they were then introduced to the traumas of the rejection by the Palestinian population of their desire to settle there, the violence of the Hebron pogroms, the rejection of the UN, of the Peel Commission, of the UN partition plan, which the Palestinians all rejected, and then war after war after war after war, which obviously the Israelis see it as the fault of the other side, not of their fault. I'll often say when it comes to the partition plans, UN partition plan in particular, I'll say, listen, if you were the vast majority of the population and the UN was dividing the country essentially equal, if not maybe more, to the Arabs, you wouldn't have been so happy in 1947 either. But just to help them to understand. But they are deeply wounded people. You've got the European trauma. The Sephardic Jews were driven out of the Arab countries in 47, 48. They come to Israel. There's no rest. Endless war, endless conflict. It's scarring. It scars the people. So I think I agree with you. That's why they drive the way they drive. That's why they're very abrupt, very tough people. Again, my son, I'm talking about him too much now. But my son has a tremendous sense of humor. And he can walk into those stores with the Israelis and he can defang them with his humor. But I'm too much of a too-memistic American to be able to do that. But he's got it. If you do a little jokey, a little cynical, a little playing around, you defang their harshness.
You almost have to go to your swimming session, so I want to let you go. Thank you so much for this
swimming session.
Conversation. We can talk more.
Another sign.
Offline and via email about this.
Do you want to end in some dramatic fashion, or
what do you have in mind?
No, my sense of music is demanding of me that the crescendo of this symphony. Do you try to have something at the end of your interviews that?
No, but you're welcome to sing a song that will leave us on a more uplifted note.
I do another podcast on Fridays with some other people, and I always, if we're talking about July 4th, I want us to
Levi. Thank you so much.
Finish with Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Sorry, I don't understand why people are a big deal about Charlie Kirk news, but I support Viggy. Thank you. Ich meine, es ist ein Movement, Levi. Ich meine, es ist a temperature gauge, wie man halt. Amerika gehad the First Amendment, Second Amendment, ja. Du kannst reden, kannst team, wo du willst. Ich hab es gesagt. Mastermind, I'm not going to do it tonight, so we'll do it another time. So ich meine, es ist just a measurement of the temperature, wie man halt.
Being played. I always want the music at the end to kind of, but here I don't need literally music. I think that I would just conclude with the thought that the goodness of a struggle is not dependent upon its success. And we all try to approximate the good as best we can within the eyes of the Almighty.
What's the best struggle that you think of when you say the goodness of a struggle?
I'm going to say two. That Orthodox Jewry should recognize the human.
But who didn't see it coming? No, not like this. Getting shot in the neck in our school.
Of the other, and that
all flags are half, yes.
European civilization, European man should not continue down the path of suicide.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I appreciate
We
it.
didn't touch on that subject at all. In the
I think we
a little bit. We did a little
I got the impression. I think I know. I don't want to make assumptions, but I felt like I understood your line of reasoning to some degree on that.
Right.
So if I add music and it doesn't get picked up by the copyright bots at the end of this to take us out on a musical note, what should that be?
Wow. Okay, you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time for me to email it to you. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, you have to think carefully about it. You have to find something that kind of conjures up everything we've
Brings
done.
everything together. Yeah, we have to give it some thought. Yeah, I look forward to your pick.
It's been my pleasure.
He was very popular. He was very popular. Menschen sagen, als contribute to Trump's winning.
So much for sharing. I really enjoy talking to you and for also making the change of the schedule so I can go take the shift with my mother. I really appreciate that as well.
Of your mother.
Amen. May it be so. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to be in touch, and thank you to the listeners and the viewers. I look forward to hearing all of your comments, and bye-bye, everyone.
This again is Anding. This is Anding, I guess, we said it to you. Yitzi Waldner? No idea who this is. Nice. Okay, ich weiß nicht, ich habe das enjoyed. Ich kann das again the wrong talk this reviewen. Ich fühle wie ist einer, der sieht Warmkeit und sieht die Emmes und hat herangelernt in Square. Der amulige Hasidus hat es größere Fortune 500 companies. Amul gewesen pitzy kleine shacks, you know, like kleine pitzy Bute Medrushim, jeder hat sich gekannt. So es gehen sag mehr loving und sag mehr warm mit jeder, you know. But Hand is schon a größere factory, so feels like he's backing off. It was very nice. Was Kirk aiming for presidency? I have no idea. But Donald Trump, the president, had gelost a speech. I'm going to say.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie
gewinnt 31 years old.
Was also a man of deep, deep faith. And we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever.
Hello and welcome.
To share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
In a few minutes.
Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
What a crazy story. What a crazy story. 31 years old, hat überwab mit 2 Kindern. Nicht gestrascht keinem, nicht threatened keinem. Absolutely no one. Sie sagen, als man hat noch nicht keinem. Hat noch nicht gehabt keinem. What a sad situation. By the way, as ich habe do, and you don't mind hitting the like button, es geht ein langer, riesiger Weg. Thank you, alles geht's. What a crazy situation. Ich follow a live update in nothing. So far, nothing. 30 watching. What's happening? The Yankee Stadium is echt erover gelijk a picture from Charlie Kirk. Very nice. Hopefully, it's a nummern bringen sach besser. You know. Whatever they were trying to shut him down for. What a sad day. What a sad day. Ich habe gesehen bei der headquarters von Turning Point USA hat man gleich Flowers und Sachen. Wrong from killing someone. Thank you, Mastermind. Du seht man a video.
You already be in place? You would think that.
Du Oven?
So there's somebody on the roof right there?
Yeah.
Just saying.
It looks like.
He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying. Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
It's crazy. So Dosta Cash Patel, the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest transparency. Morgen is 9/11, yep. Morgen is auch a sad day. In any way you want to shape it, in any way you want to say it.
Transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Redt van mass shootings. Kijk on de mens behind them. Zijn, nog wenn wird shot, the mens behind them lijkt hij van een shit op de phone.
It's 5. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America?
About ich lieb zu sehen graphic Sachen. Shouldn't be looking right now.
Over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Jetzt. Boom. Deze Mensch hat noch keine Ahnung, was geschehen.
Not counting gang violence.
Great.
Kijk wie schnell das ist. Is it rigged, sagst du? I don't know. Ai. Oh, und du seht man, by the way, in Nepal, wie man da rangeworfen, der Finance... Hold on. Friedman gerät von Nepal, man hat man rangeworfen, der Finance Minister, und man hat man rangeworfen in der Lake. Siehst du, der nacket. Crazy stuff. Breaking. Subject in custody. Killing Charlie Kirk reported. But ich meine, hat released. Not sure. Ich sehe nicht, dass so an der... In the left is excited about it. The left. Who is Nepal? Nepal is a country between China... Hold on. We gaan do some maps. Met ending met them. Nepal. Somebody kicked off Nepal a couple of weeks ago. They say Nepal. The government heeft gefound dat Nepal take terug. Maar verbrennt de Mastergeschäft. The buildings. A sach corruption gaat dort voor. In 2 Tagen vor dem ist gewesen in China, wat hem aufgenommen beautifully in situation, and boom. Ich habe gesehen Videos wie the left is excited. Wie der Left sucht die ganze Zeit, oh, wow, yes. Du musst schon wieder ihm.
You fucking stoked right now? You
Yes.
want to know why I'm so fucking stoked? Go ahead and Google Charlie Kirk. Go ahead. Go ahead, read the latest headlines and you'll see why I'm so fucking
This. You get what I'm saying? That is just one of the videos was ich gesehen. Alright, Gevre. Martin, hello and welcome. Sie kommen in der Zeit, wie man darf sich segnen. Man darf sagen goodbye. Chaim, sind wir reingehen in die Diskussion ein zweites Mal. Sie do a common theme. Jeder einer weiß, jeder einer sieht, jeder einer macht. Darf ich das auch mal sagen? Wir können sehen die Happiness, wo es ist du. Menschen, wo sind typically on the left. Alright. Das meint nicht jeder einer auf der left. Tully, hello and welcome. Alright, Gevre. Sie kommen in der Zeit, man darf sich segnen, man darf sagen goodbye. Wir gehen mal schkoch für jeder einer, was sie do gewinnen. But sie kann nicht sagen goodbye. No matter how many times I try. Thank you, jeder einer, for alle likes, shares, comments, subscribers, and especially members. You know, really helps out the channel. En ook het, vaardig vergeet. A special, riesige thanks for Penny G, for den geben a superchat. En for Levi Lesson, for den geben a superchat. Ik weiß nicht, superchats is a Sache, was macht der channel gein weiter. So wie sprinkles in ice cream. Lift sie dann alongs, hurt sie dann Camel, wassert sie dann Camel, en negelt sie dann Tremel. If you know what I'm saying. Alrighty. Housekeeping. Du wirst beschicken für Unboxing. Ich habe gepinnt the address on top. Auch het morgen is Donnerstag, 9/11. Sad day. I feel like the conspiracy theories still sad. With all said and done for the Menschen sind gestorben. 8:45 tomorrow morning. And yeah. I think that's it. Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. And we will see you all mañana. Peace and love, Aki. And until next time, stay kind to one another. Peace.